In this video, we will cover how to export sheet layers. If you only need to export one page, then the steps are pretty similar to other programs you're likely already familiar with. So let's walk through this as an example. In order to export, you need to come over and make the desired sheet layer your active layer with the check mark to the left. Then come over to File, Export, and as you can see, you have a lot of different options for format that you can export as. In this case, we are going to export PDF. That's the most common type of export that you'll end up doing. Click on that. And then over here, you can see that there's a PDF conversion. If you're using some fancy PDF viewer, you can go ahead and you can break your document up into either design layers or classes. Normally, I don't include that as an option because if you're just sending this off to the printer or to a client, you don't need that level of sophistication. And then normally I don't have any hyperlinks included in these types of files, so I can deselect that. For the export range, make sure that you are exporting the whole printable area as one. Otherwise, if you were to select all pages or a page range, what you're going to get is a document that has like your whole project, the 24 by 36, broken up into smaller tiled images. And so make sure that this exports the whole printable area as one page is what you've selected. If you would like to review the PDF after you've created it, which is always a good idea for proofreading, go ahead and select Open PDF in the default viewer. Next up, let's increase the resolution. So let's change our DPI from 72 to 300 just to match the DPI that we used on a lot of our sheet layers. And then everything else you can just go ahead and leave as a default. So let's click Export. And then it's going to ask me where to save it. So I'm going to overwrite a different demo file that I'd already previously exported. So click Save. In my case, guess I'm going to overwrite that original file. And then this is going to show me what the PDF that I just created looks like. So that all looks good. Let's close out of that. If I have multiple sheet layers that I want to export at once, then what I do is I go File, Publish, and then it gives me these two different sections. And over here on the left-hand side, these are all of the sheet layers, and in this case, there's a worksheet included in there. These are all of the different components that I can print. And then over here on the right-hand side, these are the sheet layers that I've actually selected to print. And so what you need to do is you need to compile your list to be exported from the options over here. So I'm going to start out by just clearing this area over here. So if I use any of the double arrows, it moves everything over. Then I have a couple different ways of moving the sheet layers from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. To do that, first just click on the sheet layer. I can move them over one at a time with the single arrow. I also have the option to hold down Shift. If all of the sheet layers that I want to include are in a row, then I can just hold down Shift and move them over. And if the order is random, and let's say I only want to include sheet 1 and sheet 3 of the 3D views, then I would first click sheet 1 and then hold down Control and click sheet 2 and then use the single arrow to move it over to the right-hand side of the page. So for our example, I'm just going to include the base map and the hardscape plan. So I've selected the base map, hold down Shift, select the hardscape plan, and use the single arrow at the top to move it to the right-hand side of the dialog box. So one thing that I should have mentioned before I ever moved my document over is that you should make sure that Add New Items is set to PDF. And let me show you. You have different options down here. You've got print and image. Those should be familiar to you. So I'm going to change this to print, and then I'm going to move the same two sheet layers over. And you can see that we're now publishing those same documents both as a PDF, and they will print at the same time. Be careful and make sure that you don't have it set to print unless you really mean it, because it'll go ahead and send to your printer and it'll just tile the file. So you'll end up going through a lot of paper if that's not what you intended. So in general, make sure that this is set to PDF, and it needs to be set before you actually move the sheet layers over here to the right-hand side of the page. So next up, we're just going to hit publish, and then it's asking me if I would like to save this combination of sheet layers as a saved set. If you have something that you're repeatedly updating and then exporting a new PDF for, then maybe you might want to. In general, I don't save sets. So hit no, and then I will go ahead and just overwrite that previous example that we used on this demo file, but you could give it any unique file name that you would like to, and then click save. In this case, it's asking me if I want to replace it, and the answer is yes. And then here is what that file will look like. So it's two large US ArcD pages over here that have been exported as one document. So now that you know how to create sheet layers and viewports, all of your assignments should be exported from sheet layers in PDF format and then submitted through D2L.